Douglas and I were the best of bros in college, right up until he suddenly presented as an enigma. He bit down on my scent gland. His eyes glazed over with desire. "Eric, you smell so good. I want you to have my babies." I slapped the thing pressing against my inner thigh and roared furiously. "Look closely. I'm an alpha. There's no way in hell I'm bottoming." Douglas thought about it for a second. He grabbed my waist and flipped our positions. Then, pressing down on my shoulders, he forced me down hard. Douglas started moving relentlessly. "Fine, you're on top. And I'm inside." Chapter 1. "Douglas, grab a towel for me." The doors unlocked. A moment later, a hand with long, slender fingers slipped through the crack in the door. "Get it yourself next time. Don't be like that. What's wrong with bros helping each other out?" I opened the door and wiggled my eyebrows at him. "I won't make you do it for free. Here's a little bonus for your trouble." I puffed up my well-trained chest and said smugly, "Pretty big, right? So many omegas in our department want to touch these but can't. But since you're my best bro, I'll let you feel M for free." Before Douglas could even react, I grabbed his hand and pressed it flat against my pecs. Then I flexed, making the muscles bounce twice. How about it? A year of working out really paid off. Huh. Douglas was half a head taller than me. The bathroom was filled with steam, making it hard to see his expression clearly. I could only hear his usually clear voice drop an octave, sounding a bit husky. "Yeah, it's nice." I smirked triumphantly and dragged his hand further down. "That's nothing. I've got an 8-pack now, and my thighs are way more solid. Feel this." I, a mighty alpha, had trained my ass off for a year just to show off today. However, just as I was guiding his hand toward my lower abdomen, he suddenly pulled back hard, breaking free from my grip. "I don't have time to mess around with you. I haven't finished the assignment the professor gave us." With that, he turned on his heel and walked away. Bang! He shut the door behind him. I stood there holding the towel, a bit confused. It was the very beginning of junior year. We barely even knew all our professors' names yet. What assignment? A moment later, it suddenly dawned on me. Douglas had a leaner build, totally rocking the aloof, top student vibe. Even though we were both alphas, seeing my bulky, muscular physique, he was definitely a little jealous, maybe even feeling a bit insecure. As Douglas's best bro, I decided to help him out. So, after lights out, I quietly crept up into Douglas's bed. "Eric? Who said you could come up here?" Douglas's voice was startled and hoarse, laced with a suppressed pant. A thick, intense wave of lime-scented pheromones washed over me, making my heart skip a beat. For an S-rank alpha, controlling one's pheromones from leaking was practically instinctual, unless they were sick or in their rut. "Are you okay?" Worried about him, I immediately flicked on my phone's flashlight. "Don't turn on the light." It was too late. The phone's beam lit up the entire bed. Douglas was leaning against the headboard, raising his right hand to block the glaring light. His phone screen quickly went black, but with my sharp eyes, I still caught a glimpse of a person's photo on the screen. I crawled over and reached out to flick the pitching tent, pointing right at me, joking, "Your pheromones are so strong. I thought you were sick. Turns out you're just taking care of business." Douglas yanked the blanket up to cover his lower half. "Get down." "No way. We're bros. Keep going, no need to be shy." I nudged him with my elbow and asked, "Whose photo were you looking at? Tell me so I know who to avoid. If you've been at it this long and still haven't finished, this teacher must not be very good." Dark lines practically appeared on Douglas's face, his fair earlobes turning so red they looked ready to bleed. He closed his eyes, mortified and angry. "Eric, you're crossing the line." I chuckled, not taking him seriously at all. "We're best bros, what's a little flick between friends? It's been 2 years since school started, and every time I asked you to go to the bathroom or shower together, you refused. This is the very first time I've ever seen it." Remembering the sight I just saw, I praised him genuinely. "It's even bigger than mine. You really kept that quiet, huh? Whoever ends up as your omega is definitely going to be very happy." Douglas was usually very aloof and distant. Whenever I made these kinds of dirty jokes, he'd normally shoot me a flustered glare and tell me to shut up. But today, for some inexplicable reason, he asked, "Do you really think so?" See, there wasn't a single alpha out there who didn't like being praised for their prowess. I nodded, patted the massive bulge through the blanket, and joked, "If I were an omega, you'd definitely have to let your bro experience it once." Douglas raised an eyebrow. "Really?" I answered offhandedly, "Of course." The moment the words left my mouth, the lime-scented pheromones suddenly spiked, instantly flooding the entire dorm room like a sudden storm. Did your rut start? I turned around, preparing to get out of bed to grab some suppressants. I never expected Douglas to suddenly make a move. He grabbed my ankle, yanked me backward, and pressed his entire body down on top of me. Eric, you smell so good. Chapter 2. My pajamas were ripped open. Douglas buried his face in the back of my neck, sniffing lightly. I didn't sense anything wrong. Instead, I felt a bit smug. Of course, my pheromones are a rare honey scent. Where I couldn't see, Douglas's Adam's apple bobbed, his dark eyes slowly filling with lust. I want a bite. What? I didn't hear him clearly. Even though Douglas wasn't as buff as me, his 6 feet 3 inches frame pressing down on me made it a little hard to breathe. Not to mention he was in his rut right now, his whole body burning hot. His thing was rock hard, pressing against my lower back like a wooden club, so hot it made me involuntarily shift around. Douglas, get up. I'll go get you some suppressants. Douglas didn't move. His fingers stroked back and forth across the nape of my neck. His heavy breathing ghosted over my ear, causing my scent gland to start burning and swelling along with it. Threads of honey-scented pheromones began to seep out, tangling with the lime scent in the air, the concentration growing thicker and thicker. By the time I realized something was wrong, it was too late. Sharp canines suddenly pierced the back of my neck, and lime-scented pheromones were forcefully injected into my body. The pain brought tears to my eyes. My toes curled, and I clawed at the bedsheets trying to escape. But Douglas pinned me down tight with his hips and abdomen. His long fingers wordlessly laced through mine, pressing me firmly against the bed. Douglas's unique pheromones ran wild inside my body. My gland grew hotter and hotter, my eyes instantly filling with tears, and even my limbs went weak, just like an omega going into heat. Douglas, stop. I'm an alpha, not some omega you can mark. I don't know which word triggered him, but Douglas suddenly made a move, pulling down my pajama pants. He murmured, almost obsessively, Eric, you smell so good. I want you to have my babies. Fuck, it's just a rut. How did he turn into such a pervert? I struggled desperately, but when I felt that shocking size, I instantly froze, my scalp going numb. Snap out of it. I'm an alpha. What babies? Even though he was blinded by lust and about to turn into a wild beast, Douglas still maintained his top student habit of answering any question asked. His deep voice rang in my ear, sexy as hell. Alphas have reproductive cavities too. If it goes deep enough, force it open and you can get pregnant. The next day, I woke up in the city hospital. My good friend Jacob breathed a sigh of relief and handed me a glass of water. Don't worry, nothing happened to you. You just passed out from the high concentration of pheromones. Before I could fully recover from the joy of saving my ass, Jacob dropped a massive bombshell. But the dorm manager got there a little late yesterday. You've already been temporarily marked. For the next 3 months, you're going to experience irregular heat cycles. My voice cracked as I yelled, I'm a macho alpha. It's impossible for me to be marked, and even more impossible to go into heat. Jacob slapped the scent gland on the back of my neck, and I let out a painful yelp. Douglas was heavily stimulated last night and presented as an Enigma, an S-rank 1-2. The strongest gender capable of marking alphas, betas, and omegas? That was amazing. I was jealous to death. But Jacob, utterly lacking in social awareness, kept pressing. I heard that an S-rank pheromone entering the gland feels incredible, like it can even cause a cranial orgasm. Is it true? I rolled my eyes at him. If you're so curious, go find an alpha to bite you and try it out. Jacob curled his lip. Forget it, I'm scared of pain. I'll just wait for you to experience it more and tell me. I flicked him on the forehead. Shipping everything blindly is only going to ruin you. Douglas and I are pure bros, and that's absolutely never going to change. Jacob smiled sleazily, muttering something about big-tit alphas are naturally meant to be bottomed, and bros are meant to become wives. But his voice was too low for me to catch it clearly. After Jacob left, I walked into the next ward to visit Douglas. The nurse said all the riotous pheromones in his body had been extracted. As long as he didn't receive any more intense stimulation, he shouldn't suddenly go into a rut again. I'm sorry I scared you last night. Does it still hurt? Douglas was leaning against the headboard, his tone full of apology. A metal muzzle covered his lower jaw, gleaming with a cold light. Seeing him look so pale and weak made my heart clench. I patted my chest, pretending to be macho. This little thing is nothing. I'm a strong alpha. Even if my gland got bitten to shreds, It wouldn't hurt. Douglas gave a soft chuckle. That's good. To apologize, let me treat you to a meal. We had just arrived at the mall and hadn't even had time to order when our counselor called, telling us to return to campus. They said there needed to be a separation between Enigmas and Alphas so we couldn't live together anymore. I curled my lip disdainfully, thinking it was totally unnecessary. The doctor had prescribed us both a year's worth of suppressants. How could anything happen? But school rules couldn't be defied. To graduate smoothly, I had to swallow the pain and move away from my best friend. Our other two roommates had planned a trip together and wouldn't be back until next week. So I was the only one helping Douglas move his luggage. Enigma stayed in single rooms, and the environment was miles better than our Alpha dorms. It had a kitchen, a bathtub, and even a gym. Seeing it made me incredibly jealous. Douglas made a glass of iced lime water and handed it to me. If you like it, you can come hang out often. My eyes lit up, but they quickly dimmed again. Never mind. The doctor said I might go into heat over the next 3 months. If I accidentally pin you down and mark you, it'd be bad. Douglas raised an eyebrow. I'm an E. I know, I said calmly, but I'm buffer than you. As long as last night's accident doesn't happen again, and as long as I can pin you down, I can definitely reverse mark you. Afraid he wouldn't believe me, I lifted my t-shirt to show off my solid 8-pack abs. Douglas's lips pressed into a thin line. He suddenly asked, "What grade did you get in high school health class?" I tilted my head up and said smugly, "Heh, 0. Students from rural towns got an exemption for one subject. Since I'm so smart, of course I chose to skip that useless health class." Douglas looked at my smile. He fell into a rare silence. After a long time, he finally spoke. "Alphas cannot reverse mark Enigmas. So if you come to my dorm, I am very safe." Awesome. I immediately grabbed a spare key. Best bros should visit each other all the time. I'll come over tomorrow night and take you to work out with me. The corners of Douglas's mouth turned up slightly. Okay. Chapter 3. Things never go according to plan. My club organized a last-minute dinner to plan next month's volunteer activities. I forgot to tell Douglas. By the time he video called me, I was in the bathroom rinsing my mouth. "Eric, I bought your favorite mantis shrimp. When are you?" His voice suddenly cut off. Douglas's face appeared on the phone screen. His usually aloof voice carried a hint of a tremble. "Eric, are you?" At the same time, Leslie's worried voice drifted in from outside the door. "Eric, are you okay? Spit it out, whatever you do. Don't swallow it. I still have plenty here. I'll save it all for you." Those extra numbing, extra spicy crawfish really lived up to their reputation. I accidentally bit into a chili pepper, and it was so spicy my face turned bright red and tears welled up in my eyes. Drinking a ton of yogurt didn't help at all. Wiping the yogurt stains from the corner of my mouth, I said hoarsely, "I could eat 300 more." With that, I looked down to reply to Douglas, only to find his face completely dark as he hung up the video call without another word. Crawfish, barbecue, plus depth charges. After getting back to the dorm that night, I practically couldn't leave the toilet. It wasn't until the next afternoon that I finally struggled to sit up in bed. Remembering how I stood Douglas up last night, I felt a bit guilty. So, I bought a cake and went over to his place to apologize. When he opened the door, I found him sitting amongst his textbooks with a gloomy expression. It startled me and I quickly pulled him up. "What's wrong? Did your base get raided in a game?" Douglas's pitch-black eyes stared at my lips. He suddenly let out a cold scoff. "What are you doing here?" I could tell he was furious. Just as I was about to open my mouth to coax him, Douglas sniffed the air, then furrowed his brows. He shoved me right into the bathroom. "You stink. Don't come out until you've scrubbed yourself clean." How could I? Leslie's pheromones smelled like irises. It was actually a really nice scent. Even though I had a point, bros come first, so I obediently washed myself from head to toe. 15 minutes later, when I came out wearing Douglas's clothes, his brows finally smoothed out in satisfaction. While eating the cake, Douglas asked casually, "Are you dating someone?" "No." "Then last night you..." "Oh, I was just hanging out with a junior." The knuckles of the hand Douglas used to grip his fork turned white. He looked up at me, his eyes filled with complex, unreadable emotions. His Adam's apple bobbed. He wanted to say something but held back. After a long while, he finally managed to ask with difficulty, "You ate his..." I nodded eagerly, cutting him off. Yeah, Leslie was super enthusiastic. He peeled so many shrimp at once. My mouth was completely stuffed. Recalling my painful experience in the bathroom last night, I sighed. You have no idea. When I got up this morning, my stomach and my gut hurt so much, and my ass felt like it was splitting open. Crack. The glass cup in Douglas's hand shattered. I jumped in fright and quickly pried his fingers open to check carefully. Thank God, no cuts. It was just that. A dense wave of lime scent suddenly surged from Douglas, tightly enveloping me. It wasn't fresh and crisp like usual. Instead, it carried a heavy oppressiveness and a bitter sourness. Didn't they say all the riotous pheromones were extracted? How is it full again after just 2 days? A hot, swelling sensation came from the scent gland on the back of my neck. I hurriedly went to grab a suppressant. After giving myself an injection, the heat inside my body finally subsided. Douglas calmed down as well. He leaned back in his chair, pressing his long fingers against his temples. His expression was dark, laced with a bit of frustration. As his best bro, I considerately suggested, relying on suppressants all the time isn't a solution. Suppressing it too many times will affect your sex life later. Why don't you find an omega to borrow some pheromones from? Pausing for a second, I added, an alpha works too. After all, Douglas was famous at our university for keeping his distance from omegas. Even if a soft, sweet-smelling omega threw themselves into his arms in heat, giving him puppy dog eyes and baring their neck begging to be marked, he could knock them out without batting an eye and then call emergency services. For 2 whole years, the only person by his side was me, his bro. If I hadn't seen his thing with my own eyes the night before last, I would have thought something was wrong with him. After hearing my suggestion, Douglas finally opened his eyes. His deep, dark eyes stared at me unblinkingly. I actually do have an alpha that I like. Fuck, are we best bros or not? Why didn't you tell me you had a crush? He's a straight alpha. It doesn't seem like he can accept an alpha-alpha relationship. I slapped my thigh and sighed. And here you are, the #1 student in our grade. How can you be so dense? You're an enigma now. You can take alphas, betas, and omegas. Your looks, grades, and pheromones are all top tier. You even have an amazing body. Just use a little seduction. No straight alpha could resist that. Douglas's earlobes turned slightly red. Really? I nodded confidently. Leave it to me. I heroically shared my 108-step romance strategy with Douglas. Alphas are all very proud. As long as he doesn't reject your touch, just use forced love. Sleep him into submission. It's 100 times more effective than chasing him slowly. Douglas looked at me and gave a deeply meaningful nod. I don't know why, but on the way back to my dorm, the thought of my best bro soon belonging to another alpha brought a wave of inexplicable, sour bitterness to my heart. Fortunately, this frustrating feeling didn't last too long. Douglas was still his usual self. He brought me breakfast every day, saved seats for me, and rigidly tutored me in advanced math every night. What changed was the way he dressed. His eternal uniform of white shirts and black pants disappeared, replaced by deep V black dress shirts with the sleeves casually rolled up. He wore rimless glasses on the bridge of his nose, and even his hair was meticulously styled. When he looked up, his aloof gaze sweeping across the classroom, it would always trigger a chorus of squeals from the girls. Oh my God, what happened to Douglas? He went from the aloof campus prince to a sexy god. So noble yet so cold. The way he looks at people carries such a heavy sense of oppression. It's so hot. He's so sexy. I really want him to. The classmates chattered endlessly, the scene getting a bit chaotic. But Douglas paid it no mind, sitting calmly in the front row. His head bowed as he explained a math problem to me. I didn't absorb a single word. My eyes were completely captivated by his exquisite collarbones and the faint outline of his pecs. Douglas was clearly trying to attract someone's attention, and it was rubbing me the wrong way. We had eaten and lived together for 2 years, and the number of times I'd seen his pecs could be counted on one hand. Why did that so-called crush alpha get to see so much right off the bat? What's wrong? Your cheeks are all puffed out like you're angry, Douglas asked. It's nothing. I irritably scratched my hair. You dress like this to attract bees and butterflies. Dozens of alphas in the class are releasing pheromones at you. Why hasn't that stinky crush of yours reacted yet? After saying it, I froze. What was up with this sour tone of mine? I hastily looked up, catching the smug look in Douglas's eyes that he hadn't managed to hide in time. He's not stinky. Douglas reined in his expression. His long fingers rested on my thigh, tapping lightly in a rhythmic pattern. Besides, I think I've already caught his attention. Chapter 4. That night, I went crazy punching bags at an off-campus gym. I was sweating all over and ended up breaking 2 sandbags. But Douglas's determined tone still lingered in my mind. After taking a shower, I headed back to school feeling depressed. I missed curfew and had to climb the wall to get into the dorms. As soon as I pushed the door open, the sight before me left me dumbfounded. Patrick was sitting spread-eagle in his gaming chair, panting heavily. Between his spread legs, Mickey was squatting on the floor. Hearing the noise, Mickey looked up in a panic, something still hanging from the corner of his mouth. Blushing to the roots of his ears, he stood up awkwardly. I was so shocked my gym bag dropped to the floor. You guys, you're both alphas, how could you? Patrick zipped up his pants, stood up, and walked over to Mickey. He coughed dryly and said, we're just helping each other out. Mickey rubbed his nose and echoed, Yeah, we're brothers. I frowned. Don't lie to me, Mickey. I'm not lying. If you don't believe me, go ask Douglas. I was half believing, half doubting. Lying in bed, hesitating for a long time, I still sent a message to Douglas. Do good friends give each other head? He replied instantly. It's not even the weekend yet and you're already talking nonsense? I confessed honestly. I saw Patrick and Mickey doing that. Mickey said that's what good bros do. Douglas replied immediately. Yes, exactly. He's right. It's an effective way for good bros to deepen their bond. Especially during a rut. Marking each other can relieve the pain. I had never seen Douglas type so many words at once. Shocked as I was, I felt a little disappointed in my heart. Oh, got it. I was actually planning to help you out during your next rut. But you're about to catch your crush, so you probably don't need a good bro like me anymore. Douglas replied with an ellipsis, along with an emoji of a wooden club. I stared at the screen, my mood sinking. Douglas was definitely warning me not to get in the way of his pursuit of his crush, or else he'd beat me up. I was a bit disappointed, but very obedient. For the past half a month, I rejected all of Douglas's invitations to go to his single dorm to work out or take a bath. On the day of the campus marathon, Leslie and I were assigned to the same volunteer station. Eric, want to go sing karaoke tonight? I looked down at him playing with my pecs and asked helplessly, Alphas and Omegas are different. You're pretty vigilant around others. Why are you so casual with me? Of course, I'm a good judge of character. Even though you're an alpha, you look like a gentle older brother who deserves to be cherished properly. What do you mean? Leslie was just about to explain when a large hand suddenly reached over, grabbed my arm, and yanked me backward hard. Losing my footing, I fell back against a broad, warm chest. Douglas? Why are you here? Douglas's jaw was tight, his whole body radiating a freezing aura. Without saying a word, he wrinkled his nose, ripped the jacket right off my body, and threw it into the trash can. Come back with me. No way, the volunteer event isn't over yet. I winked at Leslie, signaling him to say something to help me out. Instead, he smiled ambiguously, stomping his feet in excitement. On the way back to the single dorm, no matter how I tried to make conversation, Douglas ignored me. Just as the atmosphere was stiff, Mickey walked toward us. He saw my wrist, red from Douglas's grip, sniffed the air, and asked, Eric, have you been in contact with an Omega? Me, yeah. Why? Mickey pulled out a small box and stuffed it into Douglas's pocket. Wishing you success. He gave me a sympathetic look and quickly walked away. I had never seen Douglas so out of control. He pinned me in the bathtub and roughly tore off my clothes. He threw over a bottle of lime-scented body wash. Wash yourself clean. I felt a bit wronged. I'm not dirty. What exactly are you disgusted by? Douglas didn't answer. He just reached out and started lathering soap onto my body himself. He rubbed my pecs especially hard, quickly turning the area red, making it feel like he was about to scrub my skin right off. It hurt and my temper flared. I shoved him away. Enough. If you look down on me because I'm from a rural town, then don't be my bro. Douglas bumped into the vanity and let out a muffled groan. You've been hiding from me lately. Is it because of that Omega? Do you like him? Last time it was this floral scent too. Were you with him that night? I was angry too, and I didn't want to deal with him. I quickly rinsed off, threw on a short-sleeved shirt, and was about to leave. But Douglas suddenly collapsed. I instinctively caught him. The words of reprimand were swallowed back down the moment I felt his boiling body temperature. The scent of lime pheromones exploded in the air. My scent gland began to heat up. What's wrong with you now? Why are you always in a rut? Irritated, I helped Douglas onto the bed. I was just about to go get the suppressants when he pulled me down on top of him. Eric! The corners of Douglas's eyes were red, his expression fragile, his voice choked up. It was as if he had suffered a massive grievance. Paired with that handsome face of his, the lethality was simply too high. The anger in my heart instantly vanished. I softened my tone and asked, "What's wrong?" Douglas rubbed the back of my neck, his dark eyes deep. "Do you dislike that I presented as an enigma?" "Huh." Seeing that I didn't speak, the light in Douglas's eyes dimmed. He let go, giving a self-deprecating smile. "You can go. Go find that Omega. It's just a rut. At worst, I'll just take a few more suppressant injections. Don't worry, at most it'll just burn my brain till I'm an idiot and I'll spend the rest of my life in a psychiatric hospital. I won't die." When he was discharged from the hospital, the doctor had indeed warned, "An Enigma scent gland is too powerful. Long-term use of suppressants will lead to pheromone disorder, and the consequences are very serious. It's best to find a partner to mark." Hovering over Douglas, I looked at his expression as he fought back the pain. Douglas was supposed to be that brilliant, aloof, and self-possessed Douglas, not looking this utterly defeated, tortured by his pheromones. Thinking of Mickey's words, I gritted my teeth and tore off the barrier patch on the back of my neck. Honey-scented pheromones seeped out, instantly enveloped and entwined by the lime scent. I brought my scent gland right up to Douglas's mouth. "Come on, I'll let you bite." It hurt. It really hurt. It was just a temporary mark, but it left me unable to even stand steady. But it wasn't over yet. "Eric, I'm so uncomfortable." Douglas lifted his body. His boiling hot desire was pointed unashamedly right at me. My face instantly flushed red. My heart raced, and I completely didn't know what to do. Seeing that I had no reaction, Douglas lowered his eyes. Those lust-filled eyes gradually grew wet, like an abandoned puppy. "Forget it. It's because I'm not good enough to be your best bro. I really envy Patrick and Mickey. It's okay. If you don't want to help me, I won't blame you. At worst, I'll just hold it in until I can't take it anymore. Medical technology is so advanced nowadays anyway, it can be fixed. I can still endure this little bit of pain. Damn it." I grabbed Douglas's chin. I said fiercely, "Shut up. No one gets to doubt my loyalty to my best bro. Not even you. Isn't it just helping to relieve it? If a simple-minded guy like Mickey can do it, I can definitely do it better than him." I made up my mind, and lowered my head, completely failing to notice the flash of smugness that passed through Douglas's eyes. Chapter 5. Tired. I was so incredibly tired. My jaw and wrists were sore and aching. Fortunately, 2 hours later, the raging pheromones and high fever were finally temporarily brought under control. An Enigma's rut is very long. If you're going to help someone, you have to help them all the way. I couldn't just quit halfway through. So, after asking our counselor for a leave of absence, I didn't step foot outside the dorm room for half a month straight. But I had clearly underestimated an Enigma's stamina and frequency. 2 days later, my left and right hands started trembling. It was a struggle just to hold chopsticks. Being the smart guy I am, I immediately went online to ask for help. My best bro is in a rut, but my hands and mouth are out of commission. What other ways are there? Waiting online, it's pretty urgent. Enthusiastic netizens replied almost instantly, "Since you're best bros, that's easy. Just let him inside and move a little." I blushed. That doesn't seem appropriate. Alphas and Enigmas are different. Netizen: "Tisk sounds like a fake bro to me. You're not even willing to let him inside to warm up, yet you talk about helping each other out." LOL. Exactly. It's just physical contact. Besides, you're an alpha, it's not like you can get pregnant. What's the big deal about letting your bro inside for a bit? Don't be so delicate. That actually sounded kind of reasonable. I put down my phone and slowly climbed into bed. Douglas immediately turned off his screen and asked in a hoarse voice, "Did you take a throat lozenge? Does it still hurt?" It was 11 p.m. The only light in the entire dorm room was the small nightlight by the bed. Douglas's shirt was unbuttoned, and the warm yellow light fell into his eyes, giving them a softer look. The lime-scented pheromones were as thick as the tide, washing over me wave after wave. Felt like a hidden invitation. Even though I had already taken a suppressant injection, the scent gland on the back of my neck was still burning hot. Swallowing hard, I decisively took off my shorts. How about you come inside?" My voice was as quiet as a mosquito, and my heart was beating so fast it felt like it was going to fly out of my chest. Douglas looked confused at first, then surprised. Then he raised an eyebrow and asked uncertainly, "Are you sure?" I blushed and explained, "I can't use my hands anymore. I'm about to get tenosynovitis." Douglas had a weird expression on his face, like he was trying desperately to hold back a laugh. I didn't notice and said seriously, "The netizens said that as long as you don't knot inside, it doesn't count as a lifelong mark and won't affect our futures. They also said this is really common between best bros and works really well. I'm just too old-fashioned. I didn't even think of this method these past 2 days." Douglas pressed his lips tightly together. His mouth moved, like he wanted to say something but held back. After a moment of silence, he finally asked hoarsely, "Eric, are you doing this willingly? It's not too late to put your clothes back on and get out of bed." I proactively slipped under the covers. "Of course it's willing." As Douglas pressed down on me, I heard a very soft sigh. In my next life, I definitely want to be internet friends with those kind-hearted netizens. However, the physical union of an E and an A didn't go as smoothly as I had imagined. Over 10 minutes later, my toes were curled tight, and a layer of sweat coated my back. Douglas gently kissed my scent gland, his voice incredibly soft. "Eric, relax. If you can't even take 3 fingers, what are we going to do later?" In the middle of the night, lime-scented pheromones rampaged inside my body, tangling with the honey scent until they merged into one, completely inseparable. Douglas never worked out, yet his stamina was shockingly good. It wasn't until dawn that the heat wave in the room finally began to dissipate. With my full-out assistance, 10 days later, Douglas finally made it through his grueling rut. He held my sweat-drenched body as we soaked in the bathtub. He pinched my left hand, inspecting it carefully. "Eric, thank you." I was hanging on to him limply like a wet noodle. With my eyes closed, I mumbled, "When my rut comes, you have to help me too." A soft chuckle sounded by my ear. "Okay." When I got back to the dorm, it seemed Patrick and Mickey had just finished up too. The pheromones in the air were terrifyingly thick. I opened the window, wanting to let some fresh air in. Patrick suddenly walked up to me and smiled. "Did you sleep with Douglas?" I was shocked. "How could you tell?" Patrick rolled his eyes helplessly. "Your gland is bitten to hell, and you literally smell like a lime sprite. Your whole body reeks of that scent. Even a beta could smell it." Figures. I shouldn't have believed that doing it on the outside nonsense. Feeling both ashamed and embarrassed, I grabbed my clothes, hurried into the bathroom, and took another shower. After that day, Douglas still went to meals with me as usual, brought me food, handed me towels and water when I played basketball, and invited me to watch movies at night. But I could no longer be as calm as before. The brush of his fingers, an arm around my shoulder, even his breath close to me made my heart race and my mind restless. The weirdest part was that whenever I saw an Omega or Alpha confessing to Douglas, I would feel inexplicably irritated. So irritated that I kicked over the dog bowl at the department entrance. "What's wrong? Who made you mad?" Douglas had rejected his suitor and walked over to my side. I suddenly reached out and pushed down the smile at the corners of his mouth. He raised an eyebrow. I said grumpily, "You're smiling too showily." Douglas froze for a second, then smiled even brighter. It was like ice and snow melting. In an instant, everything around us lost its color. My heart skipped a beat. The scent gland on the back of my neck suddenly began to swell. "I'll only smile at you from now on. Let's go. Time to eat." Douglas took my hand and led me to an off-campus restaurant in a great mood. "What about that Alpha you like?" I poked at my salmon sashimi, pretending to ask casually. "What's his name? You hang around me all day. I never see you alone with anyone else." Douglas peeled a shrimp, placed it in my bowl, and said flatly, "I caught him, but he's a bit slow and hasn't realized it yet. Maybe the steam from the hot pot was too thick." I tugged at my collar, feeling irritated for no reason. "So what are you going to do? Confess?" "No. On Valentine's Day, I'm going straight for a proposal." Valentine's Day. That was only 3 days away. I chewed on my mantis shrimp, finding it completely tasteless. That night, I didn't go back to the single dorm with Douglas. On the bed across from me, Patrick and Mickey were chatting excitedly. It annoyed me so much I pulled the blanket over my head. I took out my phone and messaged Jacob. I have a friend who, in order to help his best bro through a rut, stayed with him for 10 days. Now, his best bro is going to confess and propose to someone else, and my friend feels really lost. What's going on? Jacob. Fuck. Douglas, is that amazing? Is he big? How are his skills? Is your ass okay? How many times a night? Did it feel good? Did he not? You talk too much. Don't make wild guesses. I told you it's my friend. Jacob. Oh, okay. I get it. Obviously you like, oh wait, your friend likes his best bro. He's jealous. I was shocked. How is that possible? I'm just a good bro helping him out. Jacob was speechless. Good friends do that kind of thing? Did you trade your brain for those pecs? I frowned. Even if Mickey would lie to me, Douglas wouldn't. I replied righteously. Forget it, you don't understand. My friend and his bro are just brothers. It's absolutely impossible for them to become partners. Jacob. Right. Best bros are husbands. Wait, no, bros can only be brothers. Because if bros become husbands, you can never look him straight in the eye again calmly. You can never just drag him to play games at night. The two of you can only dive into a bed woven with love and lust, going at it until the sky goes dark, enjoying ultimate pleasure. So that's why I say best bros can only be husbands. Can only be brothers. I seriously wondered if Jacob had lost his mind. Chapter 6. For the past 2 days, I racked my brain trying to figure out how to make a 3-person friendship less awkward. But to no avail. Just as I was getting frustrated, Douglas sent a message. Tomorrow night at 8, Four Seasons Hotel, room 999. I'll be waiting for you. Me? Can I not go? The thought of my best bro no longer belonging to me made me incredibly sad. Douglas was unusually firm. No, you have to come. Me? Fine. However, on Valentine's Day, as soon as I stepped out of the dorms, I was cornered in an alley by Scott, who had been pursuing me nonstop. He was holding a bouquet of roses with a bank card resting right on top. Looking agitated, he said, Eric, I really like you. Even though I'm an Omega, as long as you're with me, I promise to work hard, make money, and provide for you. If you want, I'm willing to give you a whole soccer team of babies. Over the past 2 years, I had rejected this Omega no less than 30 times. The endless pestering was starting to piss me off. I really don't have any feelings for you. I'm begging you. Can you just let me go? I pushed the roses aside, ready to leave. Suddenly, a thick, pungent smell of durian hit my face. Are you crazy? I clutched my heating, swelling scent gland. A rush of fire surging straight toward my lower abdomen. Scott tore open his collar. Baring his smooth neck, he lunged at me. Eric, I really love you so much. Please mark me. I just want to be your Omega and yours alone. Crazy, he was absolutely crazy. I grabbed his hand and shoved him, flowers and all, right into a nearby trash can. Gritting my teeth, I spat. Durian-scented pheromones seriously stink. Even if the world was ending, I wouldn't be able to kiss you. I'm begging you, go harass some other alpha. Okay? While my head was still clear, I dialed emergency services. Then, bracing my burning body, I rushed to the hotel. Eric. The door opened, and I stumbled forward. I fell right into Douglas's arms. You're burning up. Are you in heat? My head was hot and dizzy. I didn't want to talk at all. I just rubbed myself all over him. Douglas was wearing a barrier patch, so the lime scent was very faint. Unsatisfied, I tackled him backward onto the massive hotel bed. Pouting, I kissed him while frantically unbuckling his pants. Douglas looked like he was completely at my mercy. He let me straddle his waist and do whatever I wanted. It felt like 10,000 ants were crawling inside my body. An agonizing, unbearable itch. It made tears well up in my eyes. Don't cry. I'll give it to you right now. Douglas suddenly sat up and gently wiped away my tears with his thumb. Then he pinned me beneath him. He ripped off his barrier patch and effortlessly stripped both of our pants off. The crisp, comforting scent of lime finally suppressed the nausea brought on by the durian pheromones. I inhaled greedily. Every cell in my body was screaming that it wasn't enough. I wanted more. Seeing that Douglas was about to enter, I quickly reached out and grabbed him. Even though my sanity was almost completely gone, I still remembered our previous agreement. We agreed. I'm on top this time. Douglas raised an eyebrow, a slow smirk spreading across his lips. All right, after flipping over again. I was sitting on top once more. However, before I could even start, Douglas gripped my waist and pushed me down hard. A flash of white light exploded across my vision. Douglas drove straight in. Looking at my unfocused eyes, Douglas kept moving. Yeah, you're on top. And I'm inside. My first heat cycle hit incredibly hard. Aside from eating, the rest of the time was spent tangled up with Douglas. After 5 days of this, my sanity finally returned. Looking at the completely trashed hotel room, I felt incredibly guilty. I'm sorry. I ruined your proposal. Douglas leaned back on the sofa, looking utterly satisfied. It's fine, it's not too late. Knowing my place, I picked up my clothes from the floor, ready to leave. But Douglas suddenly flipped open a velvet box. Looking at me affectionately, he said, "Eric, marry me." Shock, bewilderment, disbelief, but mostly a hidden, overwhelming ecstasy. "You? The alpha you like is me?" Douglas laughed helplessly. "You really are an idiot. Patrick and Mickey figured it out ages ago. You're the only one who foolishly still thought of me as just a bro." I secretly pinched myself. It hurt. I wasn't dreaming. "So, will you marry me?" Douglas's beautiful peach blossom eyes looked at me tenderly. My heart was pounding frantically like a trapped deer. Only then did I realize that Jacob was right that night. I had fallen for Douglas a long time ago without even knowing it myself. Blushing, I nodded. The next second, a diamond ring was slipped onto the ring finger of my left hand. Not too big, not too small, a perfect fit. I finally had a moment of brilliance. "Since when have you been planning this?" Douglas pushed me down onto the sofa and kissed the corner of my eye. "Since my first time," I replied without thinking. "That was my first time too." A sudden pain pinched my lip. Douglas bit me lightly. Then he ripped off his barrier patch, resuming our business. But this time he was exceptionally forceful. His dark, shiny eyes remained locked on my lower abdomen. His fingers even kept tracing patterns over it. Did he ever go here? I was completely lost, panting as I asked, "What, here or there?" Douglas thrust up hard. "That iris scent. You even pretended to be an omega for him." My slow brain finally processed what he meant. "You don't seriously think I slept with him, do you?" The corners of Douglas's mouth visibly deepened into a frown. Smiling, I cupped his face and planted 2 kisses on his lips. "We were eating crawfish that day. When you video called, I was drinking yogurt." Douglas's expression finally relaxed. I teased him with a couple of "oh hoes," sighing dramatically. Turns out even the great Douglas can get things wrong sometimes. Douglas let out a short, clipped laugh. For some reason, that laugh kinda scared me. From the sofa to the bathroom and then to the full-length mirror. After finishing the strawberry-flavored ones, he opened a box of cheese-flavored ones. My legs were jelly and I tried to escape. But Douglas grabbed my ankle and dragged me right back. He bit down on my scent gland. His tone was lazy and incredibly sexy. "It doesn't matter if I get things wrong. As long as I do you right." The night was long. The scents of lime and honey tangled together, surging endlessly. They say alphas aren't easily marked. But Douglas forcefully formed a knot inside me. "Eric, you're mine now." Permanent mark. If you enjoyed this story, remember to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much.